Leah's love life takes a significant turn at the end of that 90s show season 1, causing the Point Place adolescent's year-long transition to school to undergo significant alterations. The first season of that 90s show follows Leah Foreman, the teenage daughter of Eric and Donna Foreman from that 70s show, as she spends the summer in Point Place with her grandparents Red and Kitty. The season is set in 1995. Leah immediately develops relationships with her next-door neighbor Gwen, her brother Nate, his partner Nikki, and their closest friends Jay Kelso, the son of Michael and Jackie, Ozzy, and Nikki. The Disobedient Gang has a series of misadventures, circles in the cellar, and romances that might last longer than just the season. Leah struggles with various decisions as she gets ready to move back to Chicago with Donna and Eric for the school year in the season 1 finale of that 90s show. Leah is suffering with the grief of Jay breaking up with her because he was worried about a long-distance relationship, and Gwen is upset with her for leaving Point Place. Leah realizes she has affections for Nate just before she departs. Leah and Nate almost share a kiss before Jay kisses her and declares that he wants to keep dating them after they are stopped. Leah goes back to Chicago with a smile on her face as that 90s show season 1 comes to a conclusion, despite, and perhaps even because of, the pandemonium. Leah will spend the following 9 months returning to Chicago, where she will enroll in her high school with a completely fresh outlook on life and adolescence. At least Leah will be able to phone Gwen and Ozzy virtually every day to keep connected to that 90s show's Point Place, even though she will probably still be an outsider in the debate club. The most important question is whether Leah will decide to stay in a relationship with Jay or end it and pursue her feelings for Nate. Even while it appears that Jay and Leah's romance won't continue very long after season 1 of that 90s show ends, it doesn't follow that she will start dating Nate right away. Nate was still seeing Nikki at the end of season 1 of that 90s show, and he most likely will until Leah's appearance next summer. Leah might start dating someone from her school in Chicago as a result of her increased self-assurance and experience, which would bring further drama to her Nate and Jay love triangle. While Leah might occasionally drop by Red and Kitty during the academic year, she is likely to undergo considerable alteration upon her return in that 90s show season 2. Jay Kelso inherited his father Michael's propensity for relationship problems because father and son is a saying. Jay is determined to try a long-distance relationship with Leah towards the end of that 90s show season 1, but it is unclear how long this effort will actually survive. The fact that Nate and his closest buddy have feelings for the same lady will probably cause some tension between Jay and Nate as well, though Nate will be able to hide it better given that he is still seeing Nikki. If Jay wants to continue dating Leah, he will need to demonstrate that his womanizing days are behind him, but this doesn't appear likely to happen anytime soon. Instead, if he and Leah decide to be friends, Jackie and Kelso's son is likely to resume dating new girls in Point Place. Jay will be concentrating on maintaining his straight A grades in school, unusual for a Kelso, and working at the neighborhood video store prior to that 90s show season 2. Following the conclusion of that 90s show season 1, Gwen has a discussion with her brother Nate about how he almost kissed Leah. After spending the summer in Point Place together, Leah has become Gwen's best friend, so she'll be calling her even more to figure out what her kiss with Nate truly means. Gwen doesn't appear to have many friends save Leah and Ozzy, so returning to school doesn't appear to be all that thrilling for the disobedient persona in that 90s show. Instead, it appears that Gwen will be looking forward to seeing her closest buddy again when that 90s show returns in the summer. Nate, like Leah, has a lot to think about following the conclusion of that 90s show season 1. Nate must decide whether to tell his fiancée Nikki and best friend Jay that he almost kissed Leah, or to keep this a secret between himself, Gwen, and Leah. However, Nate won't have to take action on the results of his feelings until much later because he will be preoccupied with the impending high school football season. Even so, Nate might feel bad enough to break up with Nikki until he decides what to do about his friendship with Leah, the daughter of Eric and Donna. Nate will still need to work hard on himself after the first season of that 90s show in order to feel confident in his independence. Ozzy ultimately exhibits a powerful display of emotion in the finale of that 90s show season 1 as he begs Leah to stay after first assuring the gang he couldn't weep. Ozzy will miss his new pal, but he still has a lot to do after the finale. Step 7 of Ozzy's plan was to come out to Kitty as gay. After finishing that 90s show season 1, his next major task was to tell his family. Whether this occurs during the academic year or when Leah visits Point Place in season 2 of that 90s show is unknown, But Ozzy will continue to have the support of his friends and Leah's grandmother Kitty when he is prepared. The conclusion of season 1 of that 90s show established multiple storylines for Nikki, who was initially associated with the gang as Nate's responsible girlfriend. Although Nikki is still unaware that Nate came dangerously close to kissing Leah, this incident will undoubtedly cause friction between the couple. In fact, it might force Nikki to end her relationship with Nate soon after the first season finale of that 90s show. Nikki is probably not going to stay with a man who was just a hair's breadth away from cheating on her because she was already more concerned about school and her own future than her lover. After that 90s show season 1, Nikki will return to school and make it her first priority. Nikki will probably keep a close relationship with Leah's grandmother when they see each other during the school year after assisting returning that 70s show character Kitty with her preparation for her position as a nurse at the high school. Nikki might also spend more time at school with Kitty Foreman because she wants to be a doctor and has to gain more medical experience. That 70s show has established who had more sway in the Foreman home, so Kitty's request for the teenagers to continue hanging out at the house will undoubtedly come true, despite the fact that Red warned Leah her friends weren't permitted to remain in the basement after she left. This is even more likely given that Kitty's next journey follows that 90s show season 1, when she will take up the role of the new nurse at Point Place High School, where she will frequently see the new cast members from that 70s show's reboot. Even though they won't have their granddaughter Leah with them throughout the school year, the Foremans are likely to still have a full house. After the first season of that 90s show, Kitty went back to work, and Red Foreman might discover a new interest. He may return to working on cars, possibly enlisting the aid of Nate, Gwen, Jay, Nikki, and Ozzy. That 90s show implied that gardening wasn't his strong suit. Red will continue supporting his neighbor Sherry Runk as she raises Nate and Gwen and experiments with dating local men like hair salon owner Fez, even though he may not like to have a new Bob in his life. Sherry, the well-intentioned but negligent mother of Nate and Gwen, made tremendous progress throughout that 90s show season 1, indicating that she'll continue to be a more present parent and resolve her own issues with her father. Sherry was discovered to be dating the famous character Fez from that 70s show in one of the funniest subplots of that 90s show season 1, which caused a number of issues when she tried to break up with him and subsequently got back together with him. In the end, Sherry is still seeing Fez, who wishes to learn more about her children Nate and Gwen. Season 2 of that 90s show will feature Fez attempting to take on the role of stepfather to Sherry's kids. When the jokes are connected to the original series, particularly when involving the High Circle and Red and Kitty, that 90s show is at its funniest. However, that places too much emphasis on the older cast members when the show should be centered on today's youth, or in this case, the youth of the 1990s. That is not to imply they couldn't get better in that area if given a second season. Though nepotism may only take you so far, the teen characters have the ability to surpass their forerunners.